AM 770 KTTH morning host David Bose here with Harley Dufek of Exclusive Home Realty. I talk about Harley Dufek and Exclusive Home Realty almost every day on AM 770 KTTH, but 60 seconds doesn't really give you enough time. So I wanted to take a little opportunity, sit down with Harley here, and talk to him about what he does and how he does it. Harley, you say something like 50% of the homes that are listed don't sell. Why is that?
It's a good question. Actually, there's only two reasons why a seller does not get what they want for their home. And it really boils down to just these two things. Either they have a poor plan or they have a poor execution of that plan. Now, planning is a really important part of this. So when you're looking for a real estate agent to represent you, you need to find one that has a proven and repeatable system for selling homes, not somebody that's just winging it.
What do you mean by a plan? What do they have there?
Well, as part of the plan, there needs to be a system, okay? A system that involves answering different variables in the equation. Selling a home can be a very complicated equation, okay? There's actually, I've identified 115 different variables in the home selling process, okay? So having a plan that effectively answers each one of these variables and overcomes each and every one is going to get maximum price for that home.
So what is your process for selling homes faster, because that's what you promise, and for more money, and how do you deliver that promise?
So selling homes faster and for more money, what we've identified with this are these 118 different variables. There's actually what we call a price swing effect. Okay, so in this price swing effect can adversely affect or positively affect the outcome and how much money that is being given by as much as 18%. Okay, 18% more, 18% less. Right?
Give me an example of a mistake, a real-life example of a mistake a potential home seller would make.
One of the biggest mistakes that a home seller could make is not picking an expert to represent them. And this goes along with not having a plan or having a good execution of that plan. Okay, so again, you can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't have the team and the experience to execute on such a plan, it's worthless. And on the flip side, you could just maybe not have the best plan in the world due to not understanding the market and not being a true expert in what your craft is and what you're doing.
Tell me about, in the last 30 to 60 days, you've sold a lot of homes. Tell us about a couple of those, because people are saying, well, the home market's, it's just starting to creep up a little bit. But your experience is you keep selling the homes at the rate that you're promising. Give us a couple of examples over the last 60 days.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to. So there's been some really specific examples that we've actually accomplished here for people, and we're real proud of it because actually not even in 60 days, in the last week we have generated over $37,000 in additional money in the pockets of sellers that they actually would not have gotten otherwise without our negotiation skills. Okay, now that's saying a lot. That really is. Negotiation is critical. And the number one reason that somebody should work with myself and my team is really because of that, because of our negotiation. We're just better at it. And you're better at it because you do more of it. Okay, so the average real estate agent sells, between 4 to 8 homes a year. It's just really an unfair competition, an unfair advantage when they're dealing with somebody like myself and my team. We have over 100 years of combined experience. Okay, last year we sold 110 houses. This year we're on track for selling well over 200 houses. When we're pitted up against another real estate agent that just doesn't have that kind of experience, that kind of negotiation skill and prowess, it's almost, like I said, an unfair advantage. And so we're able to represent them. So if you were to pick who to represent you, who would you pick?
Well,
right?
You promise people, hey, in 59 days, this house is going to be sold, right? And that's one of your promises. 59 days, this house is going to be sold, or you'll buy it.
That's right.
How do you make that happen?
Well,
or do you own a whole lot of houses?
Well, so this is how I explain it. So it's very simple. Okay, so again, like a lot of things in life, they're very simple. They come down to very simple premises. So basically, we will write an offer on your house the first moment that we meet. I like to do everything up front. A lot of times people like to talk about things and then do things in the back. I don't work that way. Okay, so everything is up front and in writing. You will know the moment that you meet me either you have a good plan to get top dollar for your house and to go along that plan, or I will write you an offer to purchase your house. Either one, and that's correct. If your house doesn't sell for top dollar, you always have the option to take my offer. Okay, and to answer your question, yeah, I buy as many houses as I possibly can. I'm an investor, and I actually own a real estate company as well. And so we're able to make offers that really no other investors are able to make, just because of the ability that we have and the resources that we have to do that. And so we're able to help out a lot of people in different situations that way.
Harley, you mentioned that your system of selling follows 7 laws. What do you mean by that? What are they?
David, there's 7 laws that we've come up with that will help the seller to achieve maximum price for their home. And I'll go over these laws real quickly with you here. They're all on this chart. Law number 1 is law of expertise. Okay, so this law is basically talking about how and why you would pick an expert advisor to represent you in the sale of your home, and this can actually affect your price by as much as 3 to 5%. Okay, in how much you get and how much you actually receive. So picking an expert is really critical in this process. Okay, and that's why it's law number 1. Law number 2, law of differentiation. Differentiation drives the consumer preference and can help sell your home for as much as 18% more money. So difference is what we talk about in the selling process. Okay, what do you do to making your home stand out to the masses? In the mass of all these other homes that buyers could buy, what makes it different? Mm-hmm. Okay, and so it's not always what is it priced at, but how does it presented, right? So I'm a consumer just like you. Okay, so I buy things just like you and just like everybody else does, and we don't always buy on price. We buy on value and value proposition. Like I don't wear the cheapest clothes. I don't drive the cheapest car. It has nothing to do with cheap or expensive or new or not. It has to do with what is the value that's in the mind of the consumer. And so presenting that value is really critical in achieving that maximum result. So we have a lot of ways in order to do this. That's why it's law number 2. Law number 3, a law of exposure. Okay, so exposure is pretty critical. I mean, we can all agree with that. So getting it out there to the masses and having the most amount of eyeballs on your property once it's looking good and it's in its best light, getting it out to the masses and showing as many people as possible is a really critical part of this whole system in order to do it. And it can actually affect the results by as much as 6% in what you actually receive. So if you only had a few people looking at the property, do you think that you would get as many offers or whatnot as if you had thousands of people looking at your property?
So this is the same principle that's actually crushed antique stores, basically, because eBay expanded all that marketplace, expanded the eyeballs looking at the product. This is the same kind of thing. You're maximizing the eyeballs looking at the home for sale, and therefore maximizing the potential amount that a consumer would pay.
That's right. That's right. Now, in a lot of examples that we've had and that you've spoke about on your radio show is getting multiple offers and actually achieving higher results than what sellers even want and getting them more money. And this law actually has a lot to do with that. Once the home is set up and once they've picked that expert advisor and once everything is in place, getting the most amount of people involved with this process and getting the numbers of people through, that's how we achieve the results that we do. We achieve those kinds of results not by clawing and scratching to get one offer in. It's by having multiple offers, and that's where we're having stronger offers, better offers, and higher offers. And we do that by having a massive amount of people instead of just a trickle. Okay, so that's why law of exposure is critical. Law of cooperation. Now 78% of the time, David, it's going to the buyer is going to be represented by another firm, not my own. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our cooperation with other agents in the marketplace is really, really critical to the success of this whole operation, because if we're looking at it statistically that way, if 78% of the buyers are going to be coming from that direction, it makes sense that we keep good relations with those buyer agents. We know what agents are out in the marketplace really, really doing the business. And we reach out to those agents respectively, and we're able to achieve those results and getting them into the property. So that's law of cooperation. Okay. Law of buyer acquisition. I love this law because buyer acquisition. Because at the end of the day, David, you're a nice guy. All your audience are really nice people. But at the end of the day, this is why they would call me. I have a system for getting buyers for them, right? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So this buyer acquisition is critical. We have a database of over 10,000 active buyers in this marketplace. Now, when I started Exclusive Home Realty, I started it with a vision of having the best buyer acquisition possible. Okay, and so I don't know if I've achieved that quite yet, but we have a very good one in place, so that whenever we put a house on the market, we're able a lot of times to queue up 200, 300, 400 buyers right just from our own database and our own sources. So that proactive approach of finding buyers and getting them in and reaching out to those buyers on a continual basis, that is critical. And having a system behind that, to achieve this that's why we have it as law number 5. Okay.
And you talked about law number 6, the law of negotiation, and how important that was for you.
That's right.
And your expertise on that, and describe the expertise of you and your team.
So expertise in negotiation, I think, is really the only way to do it. I mean, one can read books about negotiation and whatnot, but honestly, it boils down to what kind of experience level do you have? Okay, and you're only able to get the experience by really doing it. So it's just like I equate it to golf a lot of times. If you golf 4 or 5 times a year versus you golf 100 or 200 times a year, you're just going to be that much better at golf, right? You're probably going to own your own clubs. You're probably going to be a member at a golf course. You're going to know the greens. You're going to have golfed at several different locations. You're just going to be that much better at golf, right? Versus somebody that just, casually sells, or, in this case, I'm equating it to the average real estate agent will sell, 4 to 8 houses a year, and that's pretty typical. But really achieving a high level of results on that and having that skill is, I've found it to be as much as 10% actually in some cases. Between 5 and 10% of the overall selling price can be affected by how you negotiate. In fact, it could be 0 because you might not even sell it at all. I've seen that plenty of times too. So having the right person represent you is absolutely critical. In fact, I think a lot of people gloss over the negotiation part. I think personally that's one of my top ones, because it is just such a critical component to this whole system.
So what's the final law number 7, about?
The law of execution, David. I mean, to paraphrase Thomas Jefferson, I really think that he said it best, where the execution of the law is more important than the law itself. Because you can have the best system in the world, but if you don't have the people and the resources and the ability to execute on what's being said, it's really worthless. It doesn't mean anything. And so how do you know, as a seller, how do you know that your expert advisor, that your real estate agent, that the person that you've chosen actually has the ability to execute? I say look at past results. Look at proven experience. Look at who's endorsing them. That's the law of execution.
I've seen plenty of good ideas get bad results because of bad execution, and that's always painful. Give us some examples. You sell a lot of homes. Over the last 30 to 60 days, you've implemented these principles and these laws in the sales of your homes. Give us a specific example or two of some of the results you've had recently, like in the last 60 days.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I've got some here actually. Oh, okay, this is a great one. I love this one. There was a couple in Lake Stevens, actually. You're familiar with Lake Stevens, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Lake Stevens, these people, they didn't, again, nobody has to follow my advice.
Right.
Okay, but they followed my advice to a T. Okay, they absolutely followed it. We put their home on the market. We sold it in 4 days for $15,000 over the list price, and we sold it to a cash buyer. Okay, and the best part about it is that, and they'll close in 3 weeks on that.
Wow.
They'll close in 3 weeks. So 6 weeks from the time that they met with us to the time that they actually have money in hand, 6 weeks time frame.
Nice.
Now that, talk about fast, easy, and getting even more than what you want. Okay, I mean that's what it's all about. Putting more money in their pocket. I mean, our interests are aligned. I need to execute on that as much as that they need to in order for them to achieve the results. Okay, I've got one other one here too. Okay, this is a great one. So again, these people, they were very trusting. They did exactly what we asked them to do, and we put together a really good plan for them, and they were able to execute on this plan. They're in Kenmore, okay, and we sold it for $25,000 over list price, again to a cash buyer. Now you might ask, well, how do you get a cash buyer? You know how you get cash buyers, David?
Knowing cash buyers?
You know cash buyers, you get a lot of buyers. Okay, so we didn't only have one offer here. We had multiple offers. In fact, these scenarios, we have multiple offers. Mm-hmm. We're not looking for one buyer. We're looking for multiple buyers.
Right.
Okay, so we had a lot of buyers. We were able to negotiate it $25,000 over list price to a cash buyer. But here's the best part. So a lot of sellers have some anxiety here about how they're moving out. Okay, so that's great. We can close in 2 weeks. On this one, we closed in 2 weeks too. So they got their money in 2 weeks. Now they're buying another house.
Right.
And they kind of need their money to buy another house, like a lot of people. They had a lot of equity tied in their house. They actually didn't owe anything on it. And so that helped them out to buy another house. But they needed 2 or 3 months in order to find that new house and to get moved out. So we negotiated what's called a rent back. Okay, so not a lot of people understand this, that we can negotiate a flexible move-out time. Okay, so this is a flexible move-out time. It's a negotiated item between the buyer and the seller about when, the seller is actually going to move out. But the best part is the seller gets all their money up front.
Right.
So in this case, they got it in 2 weeks. Okay, so we're able to negotiate that move-out time for them, and so that they can achieve what they're looking to do, which is they don't have to feel pressured into getting into a house immediately, and they can take their time to look around and get into the right place. Okay.
Yeah, those are incredible results.
Yes.
A lot of extra money in pockets.
A lot of extra money. So, and we're able to do this again just by having that plethora and abundance of buyers. So this is not a matter of getting one or two. It's a matter of having as many as we possibly can in order to achieve these kinds of results. How do you get cash buyers? How do you get flexible move-out times? How do you negotiate 2-week closes? How do you get people to waive inspections? You do it by having more buyers. That's why, and that's exactly what my system does.
Harley, I understand you have a free report for anybody who's interested in learning about how they could sell their home.
That's right, David. So I put together this free report. Now, we talked a little bit about the 7 laws, but we just simply didn't have the time to go into all the details surrounding them. So this free report, I'm happy to send out to anybody that comes to our website, gives us a call. We'll mail it to you or send it to you electronically. It's called The 7 New Laws Homeowners Must Know to Get Up to 18% More Money When Selling Their Home. So again, give us a call, send us an email, or log into our website. We'll mail this out to you, or we will send it to you electronically. And it will tell you everything that I know about it in a very detailed format.
So call 855 only 59 days. That's 855 only 59 days.